And welcome to the Fox 5 DMV Community Spotlight Special. I'm your host, Sharon Roger, and we have some remarkable stories to share with you. There are so many people who live in our beautiful area, who are giving back, who are making a difference. In this next half hour, we're going to shine a light on some of those individuals, whether they're looking to level the playing field or helping others heal after loss. Our amazing, talented photojournalist, Jesse Burkett-Hall, is behind the lens on these stories. And I want to kick things off with this: the leaders of a youth mentoring organization showing us how they're helping our youth.
Down, set, hit. Oh, absolutely. I know my mother's looking down on me, very proud. My mother traveled over here to Southern Avenue. I lived in pretty much every community complex up and down Southern Avenue, from Eastover all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue. I went to 17 different schools because we was always moving around. I grew up in pretty much, unfortunately, I grew up in a crack house environment. Again, my mother, she was suffered from the crack epidemic in the 80s. I lost my mother at the age of 17. Unfortunately, I wound up getting locked up. Had to do a 3-year sentence, and during that time I had to teach a therapeutic drug program called RDAP, Residential Drug Abuse Program, only taught in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. If I can restructure a prison program, I can do my own program when I get home. Everybody has a story, everybody goes through something. That's why I'm not afraid to tell mine. When I got released in 2011, I started coaching youth football, and I wanted to teach life skills to youth sports. I started coaching youth football, and for 7 years, I was pretty much, analyzing and studying the youth human behavior.
Mouthpiece!
I took everything that I had learned from the youth and everything that I had studied about the youth and what they go through, so forth and so on, and I took a year and structured Triumph Leaders of DMV Youth Mentoring Organization.
It teaches me skills that I didn't know back then, now I know now.
Say, go.
90% of our youth that comes to our organization, most of them have some type of behavioral health disorder.
When I was little, I used to have an anger issue problem, and as I got older, I had to learn that ain't gonna help me. And when I got 11, when I was in 11 to 12 years, I started acting different.
And me studying human behavior and psychology at the University of UDC, I just graduated this past May, getting my associate's degree, and I'm now an undergraduate, still pushing for my bachelor's. We plan events, we take them on trips to, we might go to the movies, basketball game, might take them out to eat. We have a fitness program that we do out here. We have an art program that we do virtual. We have a program called Damage Control. That's pretty much a therapeutic human music group that we do with them.
I've seen our youth evolve from breaking up fights within each other. We didn't have to step in and do anything because they was already on it, our older boys.
I tell my youth all the time, winning football games means nothing to me. It's about winning in life, and I take that very serious. We out here doing tremendous work right here in Ward 8. And we're unnoticed. It is very difficult to get grants and government funding. In order to be able to help youth, you have to be able to understand them.
When I learned from our coaches that every time something happens or we lose or something, we're going to keep trying and we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing and learn from our mistakes.
And our youth, sometimes a lot of them, they just feel alone. They feel empty. They feel like it's nobody else. Nobody loves them. My mother, her struggle was my struggle as well, but I'm making the best of it now. My past is the past. And, again, every day I just try to, make it better.
We have something really big here.
Like, I want to be just continue like crafting and being a motivational specialist, however, on any platforms.
And as the work and the consistency of all the activations that we kept doing, the partnerships was growing.
One day, every struggle started from the bottom, that is one thing.
So I've been home for 9 years now.
The noise that we was making in the streets, nationally, locally, it just kept growing. And the opportunity of me that originally wasn't a goal of mine. It became a goal of mine of owning a fitness gym was doing the work, knowing that we needed a home. And my kids asked me about my story, but I really just try to be careful how I communicate my story, not to always make it seem like I'm bragging about what I've done, what I've been through. When we talk, sometimes this overshadows the great work that I'm doing now. It overshadows where I came from. It's about where I'm at now. I do a lot of like training, in regards to like making sure the book's right. I do have a team of trainers that are great. For some reason, God blessed me to start this nonprofit, but I didn't know what to do with it. I categorized it as a health and wellness organization, and now I'm using that to impact youth, at-risk youth, specifically boys and other things in my community.
I learned that Coach JoJo had a gym called We Fit DC, and I just was like, a gym? And I wanted to be a part of that. I focus on my health because, you know, when I get older, it's going to help me in the long run.
Take your time. Y'all don't need to move that fast.
So a light bulb went off in my head like, this is an opportunity to use my facility to let these boys come here, use this as their home, get fit, also educate them, eat, talk trash, watch YouTube, and be in a safe place while learning, while also having fellowship with their brothers.
What I get out of time, spending time with my friends, bond.
You'll come in here, we'll have a class, they might be doing either like a nutrition, like what's nutrition? Like general, easy ways that they can understand, they can relate to what's nutrition to them. Like I like to hear their version. Also, what is yoga? What are some things of meditation? How do you meditate? How do you relax your mind? How do you relax yourself? How often do you sleep? How many hours do you sleep?
Just go to school, do football, and go home, and that's all I do. And I just recycle that because my parents don't want me to be around the troubles with other kids.
My first NFL vision, I never seen it in person.
We also go on trips like the Commanders game, Beat the Bomb, and also Central Avenue paintballing. I think it's super important to get our kids involved in team building. Of course, a lot of them probably play football together, do other sports, but it's important to show them that they can work together and not always bump heads and go against each other. It's bigger than just fitness. It's about just building character, confidence, and young men. We need credible men and women to connect with our kids. And that's what life experiences, people that can actually relate to our demographics to help our boys. And this person is really changed. You know what I'm saying? It's not a facade. We need credible people that's really about the work to help our babies.
And welcome back to the Fox 5 DMV Community Spotlight Special. We are halfway through introducing you to some outstanding members of our community. Up next, photojournalist Jesse Burkett-Hall introduces us to an advocate who is using her past to influence others' future.
Maurice's death was really the start of Guns Down Friday when it comes to service and community. A lot of the times it hurts because the families I work with, I never met the kid. Little Mo was 15 years old. He was going inside of this grocery store to get eggs for his family. I think about Mama Mo coming to the store, and when she comes and gives this picture a hug. Maurice was such a bright kid, loved by his community.
My name is Maurice Scott with Somerset Preparatory Academy, video production program.
This was the first community that I worked in. I came from Indiana. My mother, she was abused by my father, so we moved here for safety. And it was rough growing up. It was very rough growing up in my community. I grew up in a neighborhood called 520. I seen deaths every week, witness shootings, and it was nothing to me. I had my daughter at 17. But I didn't let that stop me. I knew I wanted to join the military. I knew the military would change my life. In the Air Force, I worked mortuary. I was on the search and recovery team. When I came home from the war, I realized DC was worse than a war zone. And that's when I knew I wanted to create change. What sparked me to create Guns Down Friday was the series of deaths. It was so many kids dying in DC.
It hurts so bad, it hurts. It hurts, I would never be the same.
It was so many shootings.
I think they should pass the laws for guns and get them off the streets.
I think about Stormaya Jackson. She was 12 years old. She committed suicide.
I'm devastated. My first reaction, I couldn't understand why my baby. Why?
When we first started, every Friday, kids were getting shot. I went to a rally, and I feel like when someone is shot, everyone comes out, everyone supports. So the community came up with something called Guns Down Friday. And every Friday we plan to go to different neighborhoods to service families. I brought my Guns Down Friday mobile tribal unit to a neighborhood called 10th Place. And we would, every Friday, we would pull up to Mama Mo, we would pull up to the entire neighborhood asking, do they need snacks? Do they need mental health resources, going on trips? We did and do all we can for these kids.
So you twist that until the bleeding stops.
So one of our main resources is our Stop the Bleed class. And our Stop the Bleed class, we're teaching children, we're teaching families, we're teaching shooters what to do if someone is shot, and how to use a tourniquet. What to do if you don't have a tourniquet. And sadly, several of our children have come back saying, Miss Hardy, you know, we had to make our own tourniquet, or we used the tourniquet that you gave us to help with our gunshot wound. I think about our de-escalation class that we have. We're a referral hub for therapy. We have an allowance system, and you have to go to school and able to get an allowance. We've purchased the headstone for Deon K, for Andre, so many children, Kevo, DeMarcos, a lot of these families, you know, the funerals are paid for, and the burial is paid for, but a lot of times they forget about the headstone. I had about 20 kids that I work with. And, you know, it's really tough with this gun violence prevention stuff, you know, trying to get grants and focus on numbers. And, you know, in the midst of that, I lost 2 of my kids that I worked with, Kevos and DeMarcos. And when I lost my 2 kids, I decided to focus on a smaller group. You know, I said, I want to get out the rat race, and I can easily, you know, it wasn't hard taking care of 20 kids, just taking them out and having a good time and doing things. But when I lost 2 of the kids that I work with, it just really made me think and say, you know, what are we doing, you know, as a community? I look at those kids as family. I see myself in those kids. I see my struggle in those kids. And to know that God has blessed me with even the capacity to work with these families. A lot of the times, what would break a person, you know, it doesn't break me.
I like to chill, I like to laugh, I like to joke around.
I remember the very first time I went to go visit the White House with my mom, made our way down to the security gate during the tour, and when it was time to give all of our driver's license and, you know, our social security numbers and birth dates, that was the moment where a security guard looked at me with confusion as if he knew that I knew that I was violating. He told me then that I couldn't come into the White House for that tour, and I would never be able to tour the White House. When I was 15 years old, I made one of the worst decisions of my life. I grew up in Northeast DC before my family moved us to Forestville, Maryland. My best friend and I, during my sophomore year of high school, we carjacked a man in Springfield Mall. I stood in front of a judge as a 15-year-old kid, and I listened to that judge sentence me to 8 years in adult maximum security prisons. And I believed that I was going to come home every single weekend up until about 2 years in.
I was visiting him every weekend. I felt like he was becoming more depressed, if you will, being incarcerated.
And my mom was also sitting on the edge of her bed trying to figure out how to navigate her emotions, knowing that her 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old son, 22, 23-year-old son was sitting in prison and worried what was going to happen next to him. And so she made a promise to me in the prison visiting room that she would either write me a letter or send me a picture every day for the next 6 years of my prison sentence.
So I made sure that not only on the weekends, not only could he call whenever he wanted to call home, but he received a communication from home every day.
She would go buy those one-time use 24 exposure cameras and just start taking random pictures around the neighborhood.
It was just like if I was having a conversation with him.
One thing that people don't know is that in prison, mail call means everything. Flickshop is one of the easiest tools that allows for our families, no matter where they're located, to be able to connect with their loved ones. The way our mobile app works is that a mom can capture a moment while she's at her office desk, take a quick snapshot of her lunch, type a quick message, "Hey Joe, I can't wait for you to come home and enjoy these kinds of turkey club sandwiches with me one day." Press send, and we print that photo and that message on a real tangible postcard. We ship it directly to her brother or her husband or her aunt or uncle in any cell around the country. Fast forward this year, when I was walking down Constitution and I'm getting ready to get into the line to enter the premises where I will walk through this TSA-like security process. And as I'm handing over my keys and my wallet and I'm walking through the metal detector, the only thing I could think is my children are proud of their dad. And I would have never believed that one of the biggest, deepest valleys of my life would have created an opportunity for me to be able to crawl up the mountain to now this new peak.
Welcome back. Fox 5 is holding our leaders accountable, especially when DC's crime has skyrocketed, leaving our communities shaken. We're going to introduce you to a group who is helping families pick up the pieces after tragedy. Photojournalist Jesse Burkett-Hall introduces us to two cousins with one cause.
The most disappointing thing
on the injury.
For me, a regular hard-working citizen,
Call 911.
Can't even
Senior Medic 5 en route.
go out working anymore because somebody even carjacked them.
There's no reason why a child
Call another officer on the scene.
should be able to kill my child, go to court, and come home on an ankle monitor.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Like with us, with our boys, like I might gotta go to practice. I might gotta be a father, a brother, a friend. You know what I mean? Just somebody they can talk to where they ain't judging them. Let them know what's going on with them in their life. Let me ask you this, y'all. So, what do you suggest for the young kids now, like what's going on now? They carjacking, they robbing, they killing for unnecessary stuff.
It was 8:07 p.m. We was in the house. My older girls was playing with, they had just bought this makeup and they was playing with this makeup and they was making my face up and we was gonna wash it off before I go to work. And then we just heard a whole bunch of gunshots and we fell down on the floor. But then the phone rang and somebody was like, "Tell Keisha it's Trail." I ran outside with just a t-shirt on and some boy shorts. And when I got to the car, it was ricocheted with bullets, so I couldn't even go there. I just stopped. He passed away on April the 20th. He coached youth football, basketball, and baseball for over 9 years. For the last 2 years of his life, he was Cesar Chavez girls basketball head coach, where he took them to the playoffs one year and the championship the next. He was a pillar of his community. He was a 27-year-old black man being raised in a neighborhood where it was easier to access a gun than it was to get a pencil for a school paper.
So I decided to get a nonprofit organization called Play for Life, because I wanted to save some youth, do something different, and uplift the community at the same time. Even with Keisha, don't nobody know what she goes through when she's alone by herself.
We formed a group called Strong As Mothers. So our group have children who has died from as early as 8 and as old as 29. And we are 6 strong women who didn't ask to be a part of this group, but we was brought together by the unfortunate timely deaths of our children. We focus on being there for each other, laughing, growing, community outreach. We get together and we put together toy drives on Christmas. When other mothers lose their children, sometimes we're the person that reach out to them to just let them know that there is life after death.
As a business or organization, you do need funding. You need people.
We need coverage. Like, I mean, it's no reason why a dog should get more coverage than an organization that's trying to save lives, or a mother who has lost her child's life. All these lives that's being lost, and y'all go away after the first month. But we have to live with this for the rest of our lives. It's been 2.5 years since I lost my son, and it still feels like yesterday.
And that does it for this edition of Fox 5 DMV Community Spotlight Special. If you missed any of it or would love to submit your ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Go to our website, fox5dc.com. I'm Sharon Roger. Thanks for watching.